All right, the Reds, it is the Late Challenge podcast. It's 18 days until Liverpool kick off the Premier League against Bournemouth at Anfield, and it's 35 days until the transfer window slams shut, as everyone must say.
The thing is, though, if it slams shut, surely the glass all breaks.
I know, I always think that.
You never slam a window, do you?
The Glazers always get stuck in after the transfer window slams shut, maybe. Not those ones, not those blades down the road. Anyway, but all of that means that there's lots to talk about. I am back from my holiday, and yeah, it was sound, it was hot, I enjoyed myself, but as ever, I've got stuff to moan about. Some of it I will moan about, and some of it you'll just have to buy me a pint and I'll tell you the story. But anyway, that's all for later. We are going to concentrate on the footy first, the Reds first, and some of the madness and some of the more lifey chat is likely to be in the subscriber show, which of course we would urge you to get onto, because as we always say, that's what keeps the lights on. Sound that you watch the free stuff, but frankly, it doesn't really help us that much to keep the thing going. So if you like what we're doing and you've been wondering about having a go with the subscription stuff, just have a go. £4 a month. Where to go, innit? And we're gonna soon, when we get our arses in gear, do a little bit more as well. That's the plan. And we might tell you about that on the subscriber show as well. But anyway, the big headline stuff is, of course, Luis Diaz. Have Liverpool got a good deal out of this situation? Are you glad he's going? Are you sad he's going? What will it mean in terms of how Liverpool will look next season? All of those things to be discussed. 65.6 million seems to be the accepted figure that has been bandied around by the journalists that are worth following and listening to. That makes it, I calculate, around £121 million coming in from transfers now, and around 300 million out. Now, I just want to run through this because it's really weird, the online discourse, as ever. It's really weird, some of the stuff that's in the mainstream media. And just for my own benefit, like my own therapy, if you like, I just want to run through some of this stuff, just in case there's any thick people watching. So there's what I've already said, the 121 million in, the 300 million out. Okay, last season, Liverpool won the league, bigger stars than Dallas, got more silver than Buckingham Palace. So we won the league and we got £175 million in prize money for winning the Premier League. Then they were back in the Champions League too, and they did pretty well, particularly in the group stage, and you get money for winning and all of that kind of stuff. So about £84 million come in from being in the Champions League. Then, and I would have thought this is obvious, but just in case, Anfield's bigger now. They're not building it anymore, and there's people in it. And more people means more revenue. Also, they signed a big deal with Adidas. That's worth a lot of money, more revenue. The last set of accounts showed £614 million in terms of revenue, and the next set will show an even bigger figure. So Diaz is gone, or shortly will be announced that he's gone. Kwanzaa went for 30 million, Kelleher went for 12.5 up to 18. We got 10 million quid for Trent, we got 3 million quid for Phillips, and you've still got a load of others that could still go, depending if we get the right offer. So I've put, estimates. So Chiesa maybe would get 15 million, say. Nunes, most reports seem to suggest that if someone somewhere buys him, it will be about 60 million quid. Elliott maybe 40 million. So that's another 115 million pound in, which would make it 236. If all of those things happen,
you may have been a bit generous to Chiesa, but anyway.
Okay, all right. But for the purpose of argument, 236 million in if those cards all fall into place, right? Then there's the small matter of we're massive, we're a big club. 25,000 people are turning up at training. 50,000 people are turning up to watch a friendly. 70,000 people are going to turn up on Wednesday to watch the game in Japan. Yeah. Just for any Chelsea fans out there, you played in that cash grab World Cup thing in front of 22,137 in a ground which can hold 71,000. Just saying. So all of that is a big build-up, Mo, to say people are saying the spending can't go on.
It can. Look, you've got me doing it now. Yeah. This amuses me. It really does, because
It's mad, isn't it?
It is. People get so concerned about other people's pockets, and we have to reiterate this. No one who's talking about it online, from us to other fans of other clubs to other pundits, it's none of our money. Like genuinely, the people whose money it is have got a handle of the situation. They've been pretty good, accounting-wise.
You want the club to be run well.
You do want the club to be run well.
And despite, some mad fella with his essays, yeah, not bad. Why'd you keep watching? If we should be calling them out, I'd call them out. And I have done on lots of occasions. Yeah. And right now, you look at it and go, well, there's all these other clubs struggling with PSR and all the rest of it. When we weren't spending, I didn't think they were great. And there's been lots of times during the time they've been here when I'm like, lads, any hopes? And, we didn't want to see really Nat Phillips at centre half and all of that kind of stuff. No. We all know the story. But the upshot of not spending in a couple of windows is that now we can. Exactly. And we're still within the limits of PSR. And we're sound. So just get your heads around it, everyone. We're flying.
You mentioned PSR there, and lots of people seem to be anti it, particularly people from other clubs, because they feel like it's been stopping them from being able to catch up. All it means is you have to spend what you earn, essentially. And that's what Liverpool have always done. Yeah. That's why John Henry has been a massive fan of PSR the whole time, because he knew eventually you get into a position where Liverpool's way of doing things would be beneficial, and it would put them at the head of the pack. And then suddenly, when you start bringing in all that revenue that you mentioned, and you couple it with the way that they spend things, suddenly Liverpool are in a position to be able to do all this stuff. And you know what? The difference between Liverpool splashing the cash the way that they've done this summer and, say, for example, a Chelsea. Does anyone think that Liverpool are going to spend £300 million next summer? No. Exactly. No, they're not. I can tell you right now, Liverpool are not spending £300 million next summer. You know why? Because Liverpool are in the process of building a team that will hopefully, and a squad that will hopefully stay together for 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, with maybe one in, one out here and there in between. This is how they've decided to go about it. It's what they did 2 years ago when they remodeled the whole midfield in one summer. This is how they like to go about things. If you can get it all done in one go and then not have to do anything for a while, allow the team to grow together, allow chemistry to grow together, that's what they want to do. And I do think it's kind of funny that a lot of people seem to think that it makes Liverpool hypocrites for their previous stance on spending. And the reality is that nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Like I maintain that the last time Liverpool won the league, if it hadn't been for COVID, we probably would have seen something a bit like this as well. Because it's the point of, once you've got the revenue and once you're in a very advantageous position of being the best team in the league, the team that can attract all of the best players, then you strike in that moment. But Liverpool weren't sure what COVID was going to do to finances long term. Everyone else was taking loans and taking bets and thinking, oh, we'll be fine. Liverpool were like, well, let's see. They're a little bit more sensible, a little bit more cautious. As you mentioned, the year after, there was a bit dicey with the old centre-halves. But I just think that if you look at everything in a very, very short-term, narrow situation, it can look very, very different than if you take a step back and look at it over a longer period of time. And over a long period of time, Liverpool are what they have always been, which is sensible.
Well, Kieran Maguire, who you should know, and if you don't know, look him up, follow him on Twitter, listen to his podcast. He's very good. Football finance lecturer here in Liverpool, but also does the Price of Football podcast, which I'd recommend if you're interested in all this side of it. So he made a table where he adjusted all the the numbers so that it works and all that kind of stuff. And it was basically like spends by clubs in the Premier League in a season. And when he did it, which was the other day, 3 days ago, Liverpool's spending so far in terms of like ever in the Premier League, it's the 48th most
Yeah, when adjusted for inflation.
Yeah. So the top was Chelsea in 03-04. Not far shy of £1 billion. Then the second is Chelsea 22-23, 838 million, and then third 05-06. Guess Chelsea 569, and then fourth 04-05. Guess Chelsea 520. Then we've got 5, 6, 7, and 8 all Man City. 9, by the way, adjusted for inflation, as you say, Mo. 98-99. Newcastle.
I know, yeah. That's interesting, isn't it? Considering recent developments. I think the thing about that, looking at that table, though, is how few times United are in the top 20. I would have assumed they probably would have been more. But again, if you think back to the Ferguson era, they only did, 2 or 3 a season? They never really had one season where they went 5, 6, 7, because they were just kind of topping it up as they were going along. Whereas someone like Chelsea or City, they had to go big to try and catch up from 0 to 100 in the space of a couple of years. But yeah, again, it's the difference between being sensible and being a bit more risky or a little bit more flighty, or just generally Chelsea. Like, I've seen some Chelsea fans online saying, how can Liverpool fans justify this? Talking about how you have Ekitike and then try and buy Isak. And like, how does that fit into a squad? It's like, squad building? You're giving us lectures on squad building now?
It's mad. Yeah, lectures on squad building and lectures on spending from Chelsea fans. Wow. I mean, like, you had so many players, you couldn't fit them in the dressing room.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we're hardly at that stage, are we? So, look, I just think, obviously, from a Liverpool perspective, that we should be pretty happy about this, because, there's the constant show ambition, spend some money. Well, a lot of the lads who, would send you that message, forever. I haven't heard from them for a while.
Not a peep.
Hope we're all okay. Anyway, on Diaz then. Well, let's go back to Diaz. Yeah. So do you think, like, this is a good deal? Do you think they've hit a bit of a sweet spot? Do you just think it was the best given the circumstances? What's your feeling about it?
Yes and no. So I'm sad he's going, because I liked him as a player. And I think he would have been a great asset for us next season. But I do think that this was the peak in terms of getting value for him. Because one of the things that Ian Graham, one of the old Liverpool data guys, always used to say, there's 2 ways of getting value for a player. There's transfer value and there's performance value. And I think with Luis Diaz, by having 3.5 years of him on the pitch and then selling him at this point where he's 28 with 2 years left for 65 million, I think we've got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I think we've got the best of him as a player, and we've got the highest point of his potential value. Because as much as, like I said, I would have been happy for him to stay in the squad, we have to acknowledge last season was comfortably his best season in terms of output.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily regular. He wasn't regularly hitting those numbers year in, year out. That was his best year by quite a distance. So
17 goals, 5 assists.
yeah. So I don't think he ever got more than 5 assists in any of his seasons.
No, I never know.
So I think you can look at it and say, and I mean, his game wasn't just about the goals and assist numbers. I do get sometimes upset when people just distill a player down to goals and assists. He was about more than that, and I acknowledge that. But I do think that in terms of where he would have been over the course of the next 2 years of his contract, I don't think you can guarantee that it would have continued to go up. It might have stayed the same. It might have gone down. But by getting the amount of money we did for him, you can say, well, we can try and find someone else, or we can try and find another way of getting those numbers where maybe there is a chance that they can. Whoever's in that situation, whether we sign someone else to come in or whether we use someone else who's already in the squad there's an opportunity for those numbers to increase and go on and go on and go on. So, yeah, I mean, I must admit, I didn't think Bayern were going to put up the money. Like, that's been my line all the way along. Like, it's all well and good Bayern Munich saying that they wanted him. They don't spend big amounts of money. So 75 million euros, because obviously they're Germans, they buy in euros. That's how much they've spent on Diaz. Do you know how many times they've spent 70 euros or more on a player before Diaz? Twice in their entire history. So that makes 3 with Luis Diaz. we might do 3 by the end of this transfer window. So like they aren't traditionally a team who puts up big money for players. So I was like, yeah, they're all noise. They're going to try and get him on the cheap, and Liverpool aren't going to do with that. But as it turns out, they have put up the money, and now Liverpool, considering, I think there are rumours to come out, or there are noises to come out now saying that Diaz would have been happy to leave 12 months ago. I think he feels like financially he's not being appreciated at Liverpool as much as he would have liked. And that's kind of the main factor in where he'd want to
go. The reports suggest that, don't they? That it seems there's been a couple of attempts to negotiate with him on a new deal, and his valuation or his team, his dad, whatever it might be, his agent, their valuation of what they think he's worth in wages and Liverpool's are quite far apart.
Yeah.
And also as well, it's felt to me that he's kind of been flirting with the idea of going for some time here. I mean, we had this alpha that at one point seemingly constantly, little quotes here and there, and there was a general fanning of the arse towards Barcelona. So for me, I'm not surprised in any way really that he's gone. As you say, it's sort of I think it actually is a bit of a sweet spot, for 28 to get that money for him. What would the alternative have been? Well, we could have just let him run his contract down. We would have got another season out of him. There are aspects, of course, right now where I understand if there's some angst, you know what I mean? So right now, as in we haven't finished our business.
Exactly.
But right now, though, where you're like, oh, well, who's going to play on the left then? Gakpo. Well, Gakpo's not like him. And, like you said before, rightly, football isn't just about goals and assists. And there's another stat I've got on the agenda there about he won possession in the final third on 22 occasions, more than any Liverpool player relative to the time spent on the pitch. And that from the eye test.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? He worked his bollocks off. He put something in. He'd have a go. The spirit around them was good, wasn't it? And, again, this is why he had the song and we loved singing the song. And I
think we need to remember as well, because you mentioned his dad's flirtation with Barcelona, and I've seen quite a few people kind of be a bit like, oh, good riddance to him. He was out the door anyway, and all this kind of stuff. Or people question his commitment. Do I need to remind people that he was still playing and scoring for Liverpool while his dad had literally been kidnapped? Like, that happened not that long ago, and he clearly proved his commitment at that moment. So whatever you think about his dad and whether or not they will wanted to go to Barcelona, he's not alone. He's probably a little bit less subtle about it than some other players, but I would never use that as a reason to say that he was never committed to Liverpool. He was, and like you say, he proves it every time he was on the pitch. He could win it back, he could keep it, he was a fighter, and he had that attitude that you wanted in your players. And yes, stylistically and with output-wise, he was different to Sadio, but in that attitude, in that spirit, he kind of was another Sadio, and that's what I loved about him. So, yeah, it'll be sad that goes, and whoever does come in is going to have to make sure that they have all of that fight in them.
Thanks to Aidan Moore, by the way, who's thrown £20 our way and said, get yourself some beers, lads, because he loves the show. So thanks very much, Aidan. And hi, Mind Tripping, who's banging on about why are we still doing this after 2 years. Because Aidan likes the show and likes to give us 20 quid, mate.
Why are we still doing the show after 2 years?
Yeah, he's like, why are you still doing it when you can't get enough people coming here? I mean, what does that mean, mate? You start a podcast and see how you crack on your blurt instead of just being a tit on the internet.
And also, I would love to find out how many podcasts or shows out there don't talk about the idea of wanting to increase their viewership, however many they've got. It's just a part of being on the show.
Part of podcasting, lad. But, whatever. If you enjoy being a blurt in comment boxes, that's your life, lad. Anyway, in terms of Diaz, he made 148 appearances for the club. He scored 41 goals and clocked up 23 assists. But it has to be said, of course, that he should have one more goal to his name. No, you let it go.
Never.
I had to get that in. Yes, we did, of course, buy him for 37.5 million, which would have risen to around 50 with add-ons. The total cost of his time is believed to be around 43 million. As you say as well there, I think, as much as we like him, love him, sang about him and all the rest of it, his output at times, you think, for what he is, what he's capable of, where he is on the pitch, the fact that, he was even, up front, the figures aren't like amazing, are they? Like, 17's the best he's managed in a season. Obviously, there was injuries one season, stuff like that. 13 last season, as you say as well, 5 assists, all comps, is the best he managed both this season and last season. There was always that thing about him, wasn't there? I think where people were like, is there quite enough end product from? I don't think anyone would have overly complained if he'd have stayed.
No.
But equally, there was always that, there's just always that slight thing. Could he get a bit more?
Yeah, and I think, again, if we look at the whole of his Liverpool career, say if we were winding back the clock 12 months ago, I think there would have been nobody who was really that as bothered about selling him, because up to that point, that was very much the main thing you thought of when you thought of Lewis. Like, if you think about Klopp's last season, there was still a couple of really memorable misses, if you want to call them that. Like, I think of City at home, where he had the 2 really good chances, and a couple of those chances, moments where there were times when you had him and Nunes on the pitch in the front 3, it felt like it were a little bit headless chickeny, if you want to use that as a phrase. They weren't really able to play tactically and intelligently. But as I say, it's funny. It's the moment that you choose to leave a club is really important in terms of how you are viewed overall at said club. So, like, him leaving after having his best season by far, it's probably the best thing for him. Like, I always think about Vladi Smica. Like, if he hadn't played in Istanbul, how would we have remembered him? Probably nowhere near as fondly as we do now. So he's going to be able to, whenever he comes back, whenever he retires, he's going to come back. We're going to sing his song. If we end up playing against Bayern in the Champions League, he's going to come back and we're going to sing his song and we're going to remember all the good times. But yeah, I think the way that Liverpool are trying to construct their team this season, the way that Liverpool are looking in terms of, we want to not just be the best team in England, we want to be the best team in Europe, and we want to be at the top of the game for years to come. I don't think it's as hard to find someone who could maybe be a better in terms of output than him.
Well, it's interesting. I was seeing people saying, do we now need to recruit specifically in that area? Now, not saying I'm an absolute expert on journalism and why certain words appear in certain places, but I'll just take a wild guess that sometimes when a writer sort of editorializes a little bit, you can sense that it's come from somewhere, is what I'm trying to say. And it might not be a quote or anything like that, but this line from James Pearce in his piece for The Athletic, I thought, okay. So Liverpool believe they have sufficient left-sided cover. That's come from someone, do you know what I mean? He hasn't just pulled it out of his arse. Cody Gakpo scored 18 goals in all comps last season, is expected to kick on and play an even bigger part. Tatike can operate off that flank as well. And Ingemower, who we'll come on to talk about, as James says, be wrong to expect too much from him, but he does turn 17 in a month, and is clearly a massive talent. One thing I did want to just touch on as well, I've seen some people talk about, because what I actually enjoy this at the minute, to be honest. I enjoy that we don't know what the fuck any of this is going to look like, because the reason I'm enjoying it is, one of the problems for me last season, although we won the league, and it's a bit mad to talk about problems when you won the league, I did think at times we were a little bit predictable. You know exactly what we were going to do. You know exactly what the team was going to be, and maybe you could negate that setup against it and all that kind of stuff. And you saw Slot talk about, I want more weapons.
He's mentioned that a few times already this summer.
And he talked about as well, didn't he, sort of versatility of players and things like that. And so what it's meant is, everyone's like, how's this going to work? Who's playing there? How's that? What's the system going to be? Is he going to change the system? And I'm like, this is great. Yeah. It's going to be fascinating to watch. And obviously, you would expect, we think, that more players will come in as well. But I've seen Vert, because everyone's trying to guess what's going to happen with him, and no one really knows. And so I was having a little bit of a look around, and I've seen some people say, maybe he could be on the left. And so on transfer market, the thing where you can see how many times they played in certain positions. I had a little go of that before. And so far he's played 159 times in the attacking midfield role, which I think most people would say is the 10. Mm-hmm. He's played 11 times as a centre forward, 11 times as a right winger, 9 times as a left winger, 5 times central midfield, 4 times second striker. Now, who knows? And that's the beauty of it. Yeah. But equally, that suggests, and the little cameo we saw, the 45 minutes against Milan, he's not whacking him on the left.
No. Like, if you look at touch map or one of those things where it shows you where on the pitch is most likely to be, he's not spending a lot of time hugging the touchline on the left-hand side. So I can see why people would think that maybe it could work. But like you say, when you watch him in action, the way that he's able to, the balance he plays with, his dribbling ability, his eye for a pass, all of those things, you want them as close to the goal as possible. And if you've got a guy like Ekitike, who's also quite good with all of those things, the idea of them two being in the same area of the pitch more often than not to be able to combine with each other, particularly when we're playing against teams that aren't going to give us loads of space. They're going to be sitting back and going, come on then, let's break us down. You want them to be in and around it. And I just think that if you can do it, that's fair. I don't think it's the best use of him. And to be honest, having spent 100 million quid on him, you probably want to get the best out of him, which means not doing it there. The fascinating thing about the left for me, because you mentioned Rio and Gamora, and you mentioned the fact that he's 17 and that we can't be expecting too much of him. We can't really expect him to come in and be like one of the forward options for real. But in 2 years, when he's 19, you probably can. So if you are going to buy another guy to come in, are you going to then be blocking his path? Or is it better to try and find someone who, like you say, is versatile, who can play across all the forward line, which means that maybe in a couple of years when Rio is ready to come in, the person who's playing there now can be somewhere else? Who knows?
And also as well, look, loads of things have happened, haven't they, where, I feel like I'm always throwing him under the bus, Chris. But, when Slot bodied Pajak about his setup and stuff like that, like, I think, and I'm fine with it. I'm no tactical expert and I don't want to be. I want to watch footy and enjoy it. But Slot clearly knows far more about all of this than I do. I'm not even going to try and take him on. What I'm trying to say here in a clumsy way is, there's probably going to be loads of flexibility, like in games as well. So we're saying, well, would he go over to the left? Well, he might go over to the left if he felt like he could target someone there, as an example. But I think you're seeing what you're talking about. I think you saw a little bit to that in the Milan game, didn't you? Like the sort of the green shoots of like little 1-2s and that sudden burst he did where he then played the ball to Elliott, but Elliott couldn't quite get on the end of it. But you were like, oh yeah, I'm into that. So I think you will see those little 1-2s that, to break down sides that sit deep. And we've been saying this for years, haven't we? We've watched it for years. If you go to Anfield, if you're a regular match goer, how many sides of all different quality have you seen just turn up and go on then? Yeah. And so this is all about, well, there's lots of ways we can break it down now. We've got a lad who's fast as fuck over here who might play fullback or who might play higher up. We've got Vert who can play all these different positions. We haven't finished spending yet, probably. You don't know what we're going to do. That's how we want it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Which brings me nicely on to Isak. Hasn't gone away, of course. And it's brilliant, this, I think, for everyone who works in the media, because they love an ongoing saga. They love a story that you can basically say the same things every day in slightly different ways, and everyone's desperate to know what's new. Nothing really. And then someone somewhere will always break rank day by day and say, this is new. I've heard this, whatever. In terms of that today, certainly up until, we started this, the most sort of, is that the Mail, I know, but it was a North East reporter for the Mail. The Mail claim that Newcastle are expecting to receive a formal offer from Liverpool this week. I've got to say, through my, old head, seen all this type of shit before a million times. It all feels quite stage managed, this whole thing to me. And I'm just sort of like, just crack on, eh? So, you've had the hero to bad guy, you've had the Blag injury, or maybe it isn't, but maybe it is. You've had the not cooperating, you've had the breaking the wage structure, we can't afford it, he wants this, Liverpool could afford it though. You've had all of that. You've had the manager sort of setting the scene a little bit now as well. I was looking, in prep for this, I thought, well, go and read some of the stuff up there, you know what I mean? And go and read their local paper's website and, Newcastle reporters and all that. And I was thinking the stage management stuff really makes sense if you start to dig their end. Because PR-wise, look-wise, everything-wise, they've had one bastard of a summer, haven't they?
Yeah.
Like, we were joking just before we come on here that there's some quote, some Moyes kicking around, basically saying, we tried to sign loads of good players, but they don't want to come. Well, Eddie Howe could say the same thing.
Yeah, and they've done it a lot more publicly than ever.
Yeah.
It's. I feel for them in a way because they are trying to improve the team. They know they've got their plan. It's not like, so there are some clubs in the transfer market, it looks like they haven't got a plan. They haven't got a clue what they're doing. They're just trying to go scattergun, like they try and sign one player, don't get him, and then so they try and sign someone completely different, just because he's got a name. Newcastle aren't really doing that. Like, you can see the plan of what they want to do. They want to get quick players in. They want to get someone who can be, can play in a couple of different positions in the forward line, all those kind of things. But they're just always losing out to someone else. And again, you can see logic in some of the ones they lost out to, but like the whole James Trafford thing is, there's no way around it. It's embarrassing. Like they spent 2 years chasing this guy. And City's like, oh, we'll just take him back. And they just done the deal in the space of a week, and it's taken them 2 years. But I'm not one of these people who are laughing at Newcastle fans because, number one, Liverpool have been in that situation before. It's the football food chain. We're all at some point in it. Unless you are literally Real Madrid, you are always going to be vulnerable at some point in it. And second of all, like, we have to remember that their ability to sign other players is actually of benefit to us, because until they're able to sign some other players, they're probably not going to want to let him go.
Yeah, that was exactly my thought, really. Like, they're going through all of these players that, there's a big list. There's probably other ones we don't know about as well. So they try to get João Pedro, no. Delap, no. Mbumo, no. James Trafford, no. Wissa's just turning into this big saga as well, and he's supposedly now down in tools and all of that kind of stuff's going on there. They want 50 million quid for him. Newcastle don't really seem to want to pay that. Cunha apparently was on their list as well. Wissa's the one that's that's almost like that's their Isak at the moment, isn't it? Then there's the Sesko fella as well.
Yeah.
And like you say, it does feel like, in terms of, I said before, it feels stage managed. It feels like they want to get a couple in and then go, well, this fella, he's not playing ball, is he? And he's upsetting the camp. And Liverpool have put 150 million quid down, so we may as well take that. He clearly doesn't want to be. You can see how it would be spun.
No man is bigger than the club.
Yeah,
you hear that at every football club, and it's true. It really is true. I think the only reason they would have for digging their heels in is that if they can't use it to improve the club. Like, I've seen so many people compare it to the Coutinho situation, and there are echoes to the Coutinho situation, but the point of that is that Liverpool already knew who they were going to get once they sold Coutinho, and were able to go out and get them, and Van Dijk and Alisson made that team much better. If you're Newcastle and you can't get your Van Dijk and Alisson, then it makes it a lot more difficult. I mean, to be fair, we signed their Van Dijk, Zekatike. He was their plan A. We were like, we're going to take him. Sorry, we're going to have him off you. And so that's kind of set them back loads. And then you have to remember the fact that they don't have a chief executive, they don't have a technical director.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
It's basically the Saudi chairman who is there making decisions. And one thing they don't like to be told is no. They don't like not getting their own way. So whether or not it's for the good of the whole business or not, a lot of time it's about, as you say, stage managing the situation, about saving face, making it look like they can still go forward. Because they have to be aware of the fact that if they sell Isak now and then try and buy people, all the prices are going to go up. Like the other one that it keeps reminding me of is when Spurs sold Gareth Bale. And everyone was like, oh, well, Spurs have got all this money. They can completely revamp the team. And they bought 7 players. And of those 7 players, one of them was still there 2 years later. And Christian Eriksen, who turned out to be very good. But the rest of them, it was just like teams saw them coming a mile off.
Yeah.
And Newcastle are in danger of getting into that same situation.
Yes, indeed. Well, we should see how it unfolds, and it no doubt will not be the last time that we're discussing all of this, but we'll see where the saga goes. Like I said, at the top, what did I say? Let's go back. We've got 35 days until the transfer window closes, so plenty of twists and turns ahead,
and
no
also,
doubt.
I mentioned this last week, but I want to keep flagging it up because Sky are absolutely wetting their knickers about it. Liverpool played Newcastle a week before the end of the transfer window. And I said it on the Anfield Rap show, and I'll say it here. I'm willing to bet good money that Alexander Isak is not in the team for Newcastle or for Liverpool at that point.
Yeah, it will be casually, maybe be injured again.
Yeah, maybe.
Another one that isn't going away as well, although, the source is a bit... but we'll do it anyway. Maybe it's this week's Truth or Turd. Because I hadn't actually put that down, but now we're here. So Truth or Turd, Mo, Rodrygo. So obviously we've been linked with him before, and you've seen it, and you've read it, and you've heard it, and all the rest of it. But the reports in Spain are that we're still interested, and indeed that it's increasingly likely that Liverpool will make advances to sign the Brazilian. Again, I did the thing because I was having a bit of a mess about on transfer market today. So he is 24 and he is known for being first and foremost a right winger. But in terms of the versatility that we talked about, well, his figures are a little bit more interesting because 146 games at right wing. Should have brought my glasses here. Hang on. Bit small, that.
78 at left wing,
84 as centre forward, 78 at left wing, 3 attacking midfielder and 1 as a second striker. But that's like it's a bigger sample of him playing elsewhere, isn't it?
You can get a decent pair of glasses quite cheap now,
I've actually got some, I just never bring them in, and I think I look good in them.
Well, prove it. But no, you're right. So in terms of what we were saying before about a versatile forward, someone who, if you think about 2 years from now, Rio and Gamero probably will be in the squad. Mo Salah probably won't be. Sad face. You can imagine Rodrygo, who's had 2 years in a left wingy role, could swap to the other side at that point. It makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways. I still wonder about the wages. That's the big thing for me, because having already signed 2 rather large hitters, having looked at getting a 3rd rather large hitter, having signed Salah and Van Dijk 2 large contracts, do we have the wage space to put another one in there? Because he's not going to be asking for a little. He's not going to be like, this is the thing with replacing Luis Diaz with him. It's like the differences in wages is massive. And of the players who we're selling, not very many of them were on massive wages. So that's probably the biggest sticking point in this deal for me. Like, I think transfer fee, there's already rumours that Real Madrid are kind of putting it down. I don't think there's going to be masses of teams in for him. Like, you can say that Arsenal potentially are going to try and buy him because they've been linked with him as well. They've just signed Madueke, who I think is probably going to be playing on the left. They've still got Martinelli. So they'd probably want to sell one of those 2 if they were going to go for him. Maybe not. I don't know. Arsenal fans, prove me wrong. Actually, no, don't bother. Can't be us. So I think that there's not going to be many other feasible suitors. If Real Madrid have said to him, look, lads, you aren't playing. And if you look at the way the Real Madrid have been playing under Xabi Alonso, I know we talked about the Club World Cup and how it's Mickey Mouse, but you saw a few formations and all of them had two strikers, Mbappe and Vinicius, and no wingers. So if you're a guy, Rodrygo, who's a winger and not really a striker, you're thinking, not really a place for me here. So I wouldn't be surprised if Real Madrid push him further and further towards the exit door as the window goes on, which means that his terms might be more and more favourable as we go on. So this could be another saga.
So to conclude, do your nostrils tingle with the tang of poo, or do you think there's something in it?
I think that someone's definitely farted in here. I'm not sure if it's actual shit though. I'm going to say 3.5 turds. I'm still skeptical.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance.
We shall see. We shall see. Okay, well, we'll talk about the Reds actually playing football as well. They did play against Milan, of course. I went to the Boozer and watched this and enjoyed myself. A couple of shandies. Very nice it was too. And I watched it in a completely chilled manner.
Yeah.
Because, just a reminder, it matters. None.
So I'd love to pretend that I did as well, but unfortunately, my housemate Georgie is probably watching this, and she was watching the game with me, and she'll know that was a load of shit. In fairness, it was only the last goal that annoyed me because it was so unnecessary. But
yeah, that was proper Laurel and Hardy gear. That one. It was
so
like,
what are you
now.
doing? But obviously, the things that were happening that weren't good in the game, there's massive mitigation for in terms of the fact that Costas was playing centre half. For goodness sake, like no one really wants to see that.
Yeah, I've just remembered from the group chat. There was a post that said the Greek with a through ball Cacha'd be proud of. Yeah, Stu right if you're watching. Very good.
ISU. So I'm not gonna go overboard. I think the funny thing about pre-season is the best way to look at it is that the things that look promising and good, you can take something from those.
Yeah.
The things that look bad, there's always a reason why, and the reason may often be these two are doing double training sessions, days of games. So like they are absolutely loading them up in terms of their physical work.
It's fucking boiling over there as well.
Boiling over there.
Honestly, like I went over the last time they were in Hong Kong. Fucking hell.
And also,
and I was just like walking around and talking and that. I wasn't fucking running around playing footy. Also, as well, and you know, people might say it's excuses. Don't really give a shit. I've already said I don't give a shit. It's a friendly. The pitch was shite.
Yeah, and to be fair to Milan, like the apart from the one that we gave them, their goals are belters as well.
Yeah.
So,
well, I did buzz off that first one because it kind of looked to me that, you know, Virgil sort of ambles over a bit and goes,
you're not going to shoot from there.
You're not going to score from there. Alisson's in goal. I'll just let. Oh, good finish, lad. I'm not sure he'd do that if there was something riding on it in the Premier League game. I'd like to think not. Anyway,
exactly.
I mean, as you said, you know, like you don't even need. Well, I'll talk you through it if you need it, mitigating in case you're mad. But you know, it's Gravenberch at centre half, first half, and it's Simicast there in the second half. And we'd all like to think that that's not going to be the case when we're playing Premier League games. Gomez, of course, does pick up an Achilles tendon injury. That's not great all round.
No.
It's not great for him. It's not great for us. It's also not great. I was thinking in terms of, you know, this Mark Gay deal has gone quiet. And there's a danger there, isn't there, now that, you know, Palace go, so you're even more desperate now for a centre half, are you? Yeah. Well, we definitely won't be taking that lower offer.
No. So my feeling on this is that we will definitely sign one. Whether we sign two, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if we sign a centre half and then say to Mark Gahey, we'll come back for you in 12 months when you cost nothing. Like, if Palace are going to maintain their hardball, I don't think Liverpool are going to be bullied into playing it. I think they'd rather wait a year. And
they need someone, though, don't
they?
Yeah. I mean, you know, the Slot quotes to me just like, I can't take them seriously because we've already said he's clearly an intelligent man and he knows the score, and all he's doing for me is not making it really obvious that we're fucking desperate for the centre half. So, he got asked about it, obviously, and he said Ryan showed that he can play that position. He did it last season as well, although we all know that we favour him as a number 6. Yes, we do.
Yeah, so basically, that sentence, ignore the first part and just listen to the second part, really.
Then he's saying Watter can also play centre-back. It's only a minor injury for Joe. We have enough options left. But it's true that Jarrell left and we haven't replaced him. Again, the latter part of the sentence is probably the bit where you're like, you should crack on and get someone then, lads. And I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are trying to get someone.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you were saying at the beginning when we were talking about our spending and the times when they've left us a bit short at times, like the last time they thought they could go into a season with 3 senior centre-halves.
Didn't end well.
All 3 of them got injured.
Yeah.
So, and to be honest, there's a couple of them who were there from that time who would remember that very, very well. And who, if they needed any kind of influence to the powers that be to say, yeah, we could get another one in here, then I think they will. The centre-half market is a tough one because if you're looking at data, it's really hard to say, well, if someone's got lots of high numbers, does that mean that they're a good defender? Does that mean that they're playing in a bad football team, so they have to do a lot of defending? Virgil's numbers probably aren't that high in terms of tackles and interceptions, but he's a bloody good defender.
Yeah.
So it's hard to judge, particularly when you're seeing young lads like Lenny Yoro or even Dean Howson who've got promise going for 50 mil. Before they actually get to 20, 21, before they get to 150 appearances. It's you've got to either take a big swing on someone or you've got to try and buy in experience and take a hit on that way. So
I've just had a go because I was interested, on FB Ref. Who does it come up for Virgil van Dijk? I don't reckon in a million years you'd guess who the second one is
the most
for similar player to Virgil van Dijk over the last 365 days.
Does it play in the Premier League?
No.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, no idea.
Eric Dyer.
What? Wow.
Nah. I'm all right,
But again, that probably says more to do with how similar Bayern want to defend to Liverpool. But maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want to go to a team who's trying to do the same things as us. But I think
lies and statistics and all that, isn't it?
Exactly. It's probably the hardest market to buy for, even harder than centre forward. So I'm not massively surprised that it's taken this time. But like you, I would still be very shocked if they don't buy anybody and slightly concerned.
But 35 days to go.
Yes.
35 days to go. Plenty of time. Don't start shitting your cacks yet. Some goal from Dom.
Yeah, beautiful. And I love the fact that he didn't hesitate. Just got it out of his feet, curled it into top bins. And I mean, we were talking before about the versatility of the team and how we don't know what anyone's doing. I would love to know what the manager said to him. Because, he started the last game a right back, didn't he? And I mean, yeah, he ended up losing midfield, but he's thinking, am I going to be a right back? Am I going to be playing here? Am I going to be playing over there?
I know. I'd love to know. Because this is the thing, isn't it? We're people are fretting about who else we're going to buy and what the squad's going to look like when it comes to, August the 15th or whatever. And it's that's what I was saying before about I'm seeing all these articles and people making little graphics of, this is how the team will. And every time you see it, you're like, where's Szoboszlai?
Yeah.
Where's McAllister? You know what I mean? And it's it seems like we've already got nice problems.
Yes.
And we haven't finished buying yet.
No. And I think a lot of people just assume that when Wirtz comes in, Szoboszlai is the one who's going to find himself on the bench. I think people forget exactly how much Slot used Szoboszlai and how vital he was to everything that we did that was good. So I think he's going to find a way to get him in that team. And I don't know, for his sake, I kind of hoping it's not right back because be arse having left wingers running at you all day.
Pinging in goals like that as though you do it all days,
Yeah,
can only help.
definitely.
Wirtz, we've already talked about him, and we talked about the quality that you saw from him and the little burst of pace and all that kind of stuff. But we've got to talk about the 16-year-old. I tweeted when I was watching this. I mean, I already knew this, but it was just sort of, watching him and how well he was playing, and the fact that, he's likely to get some more minutes than just the game against Accrington Stanley in the FA Cup this season, you would think.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, this really is thoroughly depressing that there's a lad looking totally comfortable playing for Liverpool's first team and he's younger than my son.
Yeah. I've got like...
Shit, man, that's old. That makes me feel old.
I've got like... There's probably some clothes in my wardrobe that's almost as old as him. Like, and I'm not even joking. It's scary to think.
People will definitely have tins of corned beef older than him.
Well, actually, you say that. Like, I remember a couple of weeks ago, there was... I was clearing out the back of my cupboard, and there was a bag of flour that was best before 2003. No joke.
Nice.
And it's like, I was
surprised that didn't fucking walk out by itself.
No, it's gone now before anyone actually calls the like environmental health on me. But it's just insane. And the thing that I love about, well, there's loads of things I love about him. The way he is, his fearlessness on the ball, his ability to see what always, like decision making, like I mentioned last week, is really, really at a high level for someone so young. Something that Ian Doyle, shout out to Dolly, he mentioned when I was on the press box with him last week. The other players, they know how good he is.
Yeah, they're giving him it.
They keep giving them the ball.
Yeah. It's not like they're like, shit him, just keep him away from the ball. It's like, give him it.
Exactly.
He's roasting the fullback. He's creating stuff.
You imagine what he's doing to, like, I just imagine in training where he's going at like some of the senior players and they're all absolutely going, go on, like, get on, get him. Yeah, I just think he's such a precocious talent at this stage. I trust Liverpool to do what's best for him. And with that means giving him, like you say, 5, 6, 7, 8 first team games or first team appearances, whether he gets a 15 minutes off the bench in the Premier League game if we're 3-0 up, that kind of thing. I'm just really excited to see what happens.
I feel like he's one of them where you're watching him thinking, I can almost hear the commentary of in the future. There's going to be a there's going to be a goal where he's roasted a few people and put it in, and you just go, you know what I mean? It's going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he's clearly got the talent. He looks stronger now as well, doesn't he? He looks like he's been doing a bit of benching.
Yeah.
And he was the lad you'll know with your universal knowledge of everything football. Who's the lad that he was roasting there all the time, the fullback first half? Because I was thinking, this kid's 16. And okay, only a friendly and blah, 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 blah. But he's up against an experienced opponent who looked like he was going,
I don't know what to do here.
Yeah, sack this lad off.
Yeah.
It's only a friendly. Stop it.
I don't actually remember who it was now.
Doesn't matter. Sorry, mate.
It's all right.
It's only a podcast. Anyway.
Yeah, shut up.
Where are we? Yeah, Ingham. But yeah, you're totally spot on. I had that down as a thing anyway. That the fact that you can see that they're like, give him it, he's going to do something.
Yeah,
and I liked as well. You're seeing the other side of it that in the game, everything in the game says, do you know he's a talent? Do you know he's great? They're giving him the ball. But then equally, when Verge was asked about him afterwards, he didn't big him up. He was like, yeah, he had some good moments yet, Sam.
Yep.
And it was like, being the dad, being the captain.
They've already kind of set that stall out. It's like, don't be getting ahead of yourself here. Yeah. And again, that's why I say I trust Liverpool to do what's best for him. And that includes...
Tomorrow, was it him?
Yeah.
People in the comments.
Yeah. That, I'll just look it up. Yeah, it was tomorrow. That means the players as much as the coaches to be able to, do what's best for him and to help him get to where he needs to be at the speed that's best for him, that allows him to continue to be free and fearless without any pressure, but also understand exactly what it means in terms of the work rate and attitude and the effort it needs to be able to get to the levels that he's clearly capable of. So, yeah, I can't think of him being anywhere better to get the best out of him.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Well, that kind of sums up our football chat rather nicely. And do you know what? I'm just going to leave it there because we've got another show where we're going to talk about summer life. We're going to talk about, the sun is shining and the weather is sweet, or it's meant to be. Yeah. But are you moving your dancing feet? And I've just been on holidays. We're going to talk about holidays. I'm going to give you some of my Meldrewisms about going on holiday, not just specifically about the location I went to, but in general, some of the stuff that is happening to us in life. Is this my age? Is this my Meldrewing? Or am I fair enough?
I must admit, right, I'm not sure I know anybody else who could come back from a holiday with a list of things that they want to moan about. Like,
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I've got loads of positive things to say, not least about my head's nice and clear, and I was coming up with good ideas, and found myself exercising again, which I've been struggling with up until going on holiday. So it defo worked. It was defo good, and I could feel the reset. But it was more just like why are we? I've just got some rage against the machine in me, you know what I mean? It's just sort of like, about like, well, come and watch. Come over. Come over. I'm not going to spoil it. Come over and we'll talk about it. We're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about summer holidays. We'll mention a bit of music stuff again. We've got a question in about crisps from Johnny, so we'll tackle that one. We're going to talk about meths and whether there's more in life now. We'll do a bit of telly, books.
There was one thing I wanted to mention before we leave the free show, though. I know that you're not necessarily a big fan of all things England, but you are a big fan of boiling piss. So I wanted to give a shout out to the Lionesses last night because I watched their game and I thought they were absolutely fantastic. And I know that some people, it really does their head in when you talk about women's football, but I've really enjoyed the whole tournament. They're an absolute gutsy bunch, and I don't think anybody can watch that and not be impressed by the fight, the just refusal to lose. They weren't the best team. Like, Spain probably should have beat them. Italy should have beat them. Sweden should have beat them. I think went to extra time in all 3 games. I think they were ahead for like 2 minutes of game time across those 3 knockout games.
But they won.
They won. They're going to get a parade tomorrow. And I wish it was coming to the whole country rather than just Buckingham Palace or whatever. But yeah, shout out the girls.
Sounds. That has been the Late Challenge. See you next week if you're only joining us for the free show, or if you're joining us for the subscriber show, which of course you should over on Patreon. We'll see you over there soon, or see you over there whenever you decide to watch that show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for commenting. Thanks, Aidan, for the 20 nicker. We'll go and drink the beer in a not drinking beer way. What am I on about?
It was so good until the end.
Shut up, Gareth. It's the end of the show. Bye.